Okay, there we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Governance Council meeting. What are we, September 9th, 2020. Just for those that are watching on YouTube, Dr. Amos couldn't be with us tonight, so I will be chairing the meeting this evening. I believe Blanca did post the agenda, so on our website, if you do the public comments, Google is actually open. So I'd ask that you would go to that link and add public comments, and I can read those out when the time is correct. So let me now. Blanca did post the agenda, so no, sorry. On our website, if you do the public comments, one sec. Google is actually open. Okay. And I'm just going to share my screen. I'll bring up the agenda.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Courtney.
Hi, Courtney. Okay, let me just share my screen here. So I hope everyone can everyone see my screen? Yes? Okay, good. Thank you. So again, here's the agenda for this evening, Wednesday, September 9th, Opportunity Youth Academy Governance Council. Here is the live stream YouTube link. So those that are interested in following along, here is the live stream link for you. I guess we will do roll call and introductions. So again, my name is Phil Morales, the Director Principal of Opportunity Youth Academy. And who would like to go next? Or do you want me to just call people? Call? Okay, Courtney.
Hi, everyone. I'm Courtney with Kids in Common. What's my title? Collaborative Initiatives Manager.
Thank you, Courtney. Lori?
Hi, everyone. Lori Pianca with SciTech Charter High School. I'm principal of our local San Jose High School and also the Chief Development Officer for SciTech California.
Thank you, Lori. Derek?
Hi, I am Derek Clark from Bill Wilson Center. I am the Division Director for Youth Development.
Welcome, Derek. Joelle?
Hi, my name is Joelle Hanson. I'm the Career Technical Education Coordinator at Santa Clara County Office of Education.
Welcome, Joelle. And Damaris?
Hi, Damaris Brooks, Director of Workforce Development and Organizational Culture here at the Santa Clara County Office of Ed.
Thank you. And Dr. Ramos, like I said, is not with us tonight. We also have on our Zoom, Blanca Morales, who's the admin assistant for Opportunity Youth. And I've also invited Christina Ramos and Lupe Rivas, who are our navigators, and they will be presenting on one of the items on the agenda. I believe we're supposed to, do we set the agenda and vote on it? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you had an opportunity to look at the agenda, then we will take a motion to accept the agenda.
I'll move that we accept tonight's agenda as presented.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Wonderful, thank you. Now I'm going to move on to public comments. Like I said, the comments are open. Here is the link for those that are wanting to submit a public comment. I'll just read this out. Members of the public may submit public comments in writing on the link above on any issue within the subject matter or jurisdiction of the Governance Council that is not listed on this agenda. Submitted comments may be read into the record to the extent practicable based upon factors such as the length of the agenda and available time. Comments received within the window of the council meeting, whether read or not, will be shared with the council and noted in the minutes. So an individual commentators are limited to a single comment per agenda item. Public comments will be accepted prior to and during the council meeting, subject to limitations discussed here. Comments may be read in the order received and will be accepted upon the point, up to the point each agenda item is heard, acted upon, and when the council chair, which is me for this evening, has completed the call for public comment on that item, agenda item. A comment submitted during the council meeting, but after the agenda item has been called for a vote or has already been completed will not be read publicly, but may be entered into the record. Sorry. Comment should be limited to 400 words or less and will need to be readable within the time allotted for each comment. And a full comment may not be read in the length of time to read the comment exceeds the designated limit. And then no actions can be taken on an item not on the agenda at this time, but may be referred to the administration or put on a future agenda. So that being said, I will look to see if we have public comments, but I am going to stop sharing my screen for that. So just give me 1 second. So it looks like there are no public comments at this time. So I will move into the first. It's an informational item. And I will share my screen with that. It's the Learning Continuity Plan. It's actually the Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan, but its acronym is LCP. We dropped the A. So tonight, this will be an opportunity for the Governance Council members to provide input for feedback on the LCP plan for OIA. This is a lengthy background of what the LCP is and why we are required to submit the LCP. I hope you've all had an opportunity to at least take a look at this information or maybe the LCP plan that was attached to the email that we sent out in the agenda. If not, I have a brief PowerPoint that I will share with you just kind of on the highlights of the LCP. Also attached to the agenda, I put the 2 different surveys that we used in the stakeholder engagement part of the LCP. A survey that we used for students, the survey that we used for staff, and I'm on, sorry, my daughter. Thank you. Can you close the door, please? Thank you, baby. Yep. Had to blow me a kiss. Where was I? Oh, so, and then of course the LCP plan, which is about 15 pages long. But if it's okay, may I just present the PowerPoint this time? Okay. And I'm just going to do it in this format here. Oh, no. Oh, sorry, guys. There we go. So can everyone see this? Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. So this is our learning continuity and attendance plan that I will be presenting. So the LCP template actually has, what is that, 3, 6, 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sections. The first section is the general information that pretty much just gives general information about OIA, a stakeholder engagement section, continuity of learning, an in-person piece, the continuity of learning for distance learning, mental health and social and emotional well-being section, people and family engagement and outreach, school nutrition, and increased and improved services. So here's our general information. This is just a very small piece. If you've looked at the plan, it's about 3 or 4 paragraphs long. It basically talks a little bit about what OYA, what we are, what we do, and then also what have we been doing since shelter in place, since we've been in shelter in place, and some of our numbers. So this is basic information that you have. Our stakeholder engagement, like I said, we had 2 surveys that went out, actually several surveys that went out to staff and students and parents. And we were able to collect those results and put together kind of just what were the top 3 focus areas that we felt were important for us to address in the LCP. We also had an opportunity to talk about some of these results with our staff at several staff meetings. We briefly discussed it at our school site council meeting with our school site council meeting. Here, hopefully with some of you, we'll have some questions. And then also the public hearing on the LCP will take place tomorrow. And I can give you that information at the end. So what we found in all of the information that we collected, the stakeholder feedback information came back in 3 focus areas. The first was to continue a robust and rigorous virtual learning environment. The second was an opportunity for daily interaction with staff and teachers. And the third was a supportive and strategic mental health approach for all of our students. So the first part, the robust and rigorous virtual learning opportunity, really wasn't that difficult for us to accomplish, simply because our curriculum is already online with SciTech through Schoology. So we felt that that was just a continuation of what we were already doing. We didn't have to add anything to it other than, again, just it being all distance learning, not necessarily in class, but our curriculum is online. Opportunity for daily interaction with staff and teachers. This is something that our students really highlighted in their responses, was that they really felt that they needed the daily interaction with teachers, either through phone calls, emails, through Zoom, which is what we use, checking in with them. So teachers, what they did was create office hours rather, Monday through Thursday, very designated times where they would reach out to their students, check in with them, find out how they're doing, what did they need, and also having students an opportunity to check in with their teachers, either scheduling one-on-ones with teachers outside of those office hours. Our navigators, our college liaison, our counselor, they also reached out to students, offered office hours as well, so that they would be available to students if they had any questions outside of academics. And then a supportive and strategic mental health approach for all of our students. Cindy Curry is our mental health therapist, and she's extremely busy. I just recently talked to her, and she has a full caseload. Prior to COVID, her caseload was not completely full, but now it's completely full. So she is working out plans to work with students individually and in small groups using Zoom. But a lot of it is phone calls, keeping those phone call times with her students to do some therapy with our students as well. And please let me know if I can stop at any point to take questions if there's something that you want more information on.
Phil,
Yes.
I already have some questions.
Sure.
What does a full caseload for Cindy look like? How many students is that?
She has, when I checked with her, she has, I want to say between 25 and 30,
Mm-hmm.
which is a lot for mental health therapist. But that's her prior to COVID, it was 10 maybe at the most.
Oh, wow.
But it significantly went up. And she was even talking to me about students that had graduated are starting to call her as well, just to get a connection with someone that they've been working with prior to graduating from OIA.
Mhm.
So she's really busy, and there is the possibility of maybe getting another mental health counselor, because I do believe our students desperately need that kind of support.
Yeah, my follow-up was going to be, is she, like, does she determine her max caseload? Is she saying, like, this is as many students as I can handle? And if yes, like, is there a waiting list? Like, are there students who are asking for these services and are unable to get them right now?
So she does determine her caseload, and she hasn't said to me yet that there is a wait list or that she needs more support. I have said to her that she can certainly reach out to me and let me know when that time comes, and then we will find funding to support that request.
And then I also am curious what a robust and rigorous virtual learning environment means.
Well, that would certainly be more structured, small group virtual learning opportunities, not just drop-in, but more structured time. It's either focused on math and reading, but virtually, which can be quite difficult. We started doing the in-person on-site. We're trying to continue that through that, like I said, that virtual piece. Sciatech offers all of the courses that we need. We're also trying to use Eloquence as well for our EL population, and really use that curriculum was, when we did it, was done in the classroom, but now having to do it virtually using Zoom and Eloquence and helping students navigate through that is something that we're really working on as well. But I think for the most part, the robust and rigorous is just how do we do that through a virtual, where there's students can't come into the site and do a small group on site, but you're doing it now in a Zoom environment.
Yeah, great, thank you for that.
Sure. So continuity of learning. So this is something that in the LCP, they wanted us to put down when we return to an in-person instruction, what should that look like? What is that going to look like when that happens for OIA? So some of the things that we were able to get back feedback from our staff and students was, first and foremost, healthy and safety measures that will be put in place. That was the biggest concern for all of our community. So what we've done is we've made sure that we purchased 6 months worth of personal protective gear, equipment, masks, face shields for our staff, making sure that when we do get returned to our sites, that the classrooms are set up to accommodate the 6 feet social distancing, which for some sites is going to be very difficult. Something like Conexión, where it's a very smaller site. So, a smaller cohort of students can only fit in that area, whereas in Washington, it's bigger. So maybe we can fit maybe a little bigger of a cohort in those areas. Plexiglass guards for desks. So just making sure that we have a very safe plan for the return of our staff and our students. Teaching and learning aspects upon return. How do we continue to support cohorts and schedule those same cohorts every day, or at least every Tuesday, Wednesday? What is that schedule going to look like? So having teachers give some input on what that should look like for them at their sites. So we're working on that. Parent option per setting. So again, we want to be sure that we have an option for our parents and some of our students to continue distance learning and not have to come back completely in person, depending on what their circumstances are. and then a stable student teacher cohort that we continue to use those cohorts to focus on math and reading. Either it's on site or maybe even still during Zoom. Our distance learning program, continuity of instruction, which is, again, this is a very easy piece for us because we're all online. We had a blended learning model prior to COVID. So many of our students were already doing their coursework online and then coming in to do in-person work. So we continue to do our distance learning, access to devices and connectivity. We purchased more Chromebooks, more hotspots to give to our students who needed those devices to do the online learning. Pupil participation and progress. We made sure that we were following up with our students that we hadn't heard from for a while. Our navigators have done a fantastic job just making calls, sending letters home, using Remind, doing whatever we can to make contact with those students, get them back, re-engaged, but then also making sure that our current students are getting all the resources and services that they need. Professional development for our staff. How do you teach distance learning? How do you teach a class online? It was challenging for some of our staff, but we provided them professional development in Zoom, Google Classroom. I know SciTech provided a wonderful professional development to our staff, a virtual professional development on teaching strategies. How do you teach virtually? So just constantly trying to provide that support for our teachers. Staff roles and responsibilities. This was a huge shift for us. One, because Catherine Everett, who was our assistant principal, is now the interim director at AED. So it left a big hole. She's really did a lot of work with our WASC and our withdrawal system, just a lot of different pieces that she was able to put together. So as she left, that meant that some of those responsibilities had to go somewhere, and our navigators, our counselor, our community liaison, some of our teachers took on some of those roles and kind of just continued to push forward and run with it. So having to redefine those roles, feel comfortable in them, and then me trying to provide as much support as I can to those staff members. And then supports for pupils with unique needs. Thankfully, we have Susan Montano, who is our full-time program specialist, really took the lead on making sure that our students with IEPs were getting the services that they need, and then also looking at our EL population and making sure that they are getting the support that they need through Eloquence, our EL curriculum. Am I going too fast? Is this okay? Okay. Our pupil learning loss, loss strategies, effectiveness of implemented pupil learning loss strategies. So what we really found in the pupil learning loss strategies wasn't a significant loss. Many of our students were already coming in with gaps in their learning. It was just a shift to how do we help fill those gaps through the virtual learning environment. So one of the things that we identified was technology, making sure that our students had access to the curriculum through technology, either that having a Chromebook of their own and the hotspot or reliable internet services so that they can continue to access our teachers and the curriculum. And then how do we know if that's working? Well, again, by surveying our students, making sure that was it helpful to have those devices? Was the connection with the teachers working? Did they need more time with teachers? So just trying to get more information from them to make sure that we're providing the need or identifying the needs and providing services to help those students. Mental health and social and emotional well-being, again, really pushing out Cindy Curry and her services to our students, using our student success survey with our new students that are enrolling. We would collect that information and make sure that they're getting the services that they need to be successful in OYA. People and family engagement and outreach. So what's been really great, what I'm hearing from these different sites, is that they're doing virtual back to school. I know that Conexión and Sobrado have done it. A way to reconnect with families, let them know what services are available, how we can help support our families and our people and our students. And then just those daily connections, calling families, making sure that they have everything that they need to continue in OYA and be successful in OYA.
No, I really like that idea of virtual back to school nights. I'm curious, how did they go?
The information we got back, or that I got back from Raj, Para, and Mary at Conexión, was that they were pretty successful. There was some good participation. It was a first, and it was, you know, a little, I wouldn't say difficult, but definitely different. But I heard nothing but great feedback from those two. I can certainly have them email you some highlights if you'd like.
Cool, thank you. Not necessary, but I'm happy to hear that, and I'm sure as you continue to do those, they'll get more and more successful.
Hey, Phil,
Yes.
what kind of data points are you using to gather the information about the success of distance learning and outreach to students? Is there more, is it just anecdotal, or is there like participation data coming out of the platform? You know, student projects, not just surveys, but
Right.
you know, other types of data that you're utilizing?
I think at this point, it is anecdotal, but as we move, you know, further into the year, we will use our Renaissance reading and math results. Definitely use our ARIES system in terms of participation and engagement. The new logs that are coming out will certainly be helpful to pull data on how helpful that is. And then of course, just the information coming out of Schoology, the coursework, and what students are accomplishing in Schoology and in assignments. So we're going to start pulling that information, but we kind of have to get on solid ground in a way to know what we actually need to start looking for. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I can't see you.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
So this is Lori. I had a question regarding pupil participation and progress. And right under that section, you know, it's noted that we will effectively monitor students through daily participation on each school day will be expected. And this is something we've actually been working on for SciTech as well, based on our different programs, our classroom-based and our independent study. And are you still going to be tracking student attendance based on work completion at, you know, the independent study model?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes. So prior to September 1st, we were teachers were taking attendance based on engagement only.
Mm-hmm.
And then we shifted to work production, and
Right.
So that's what we just started to do.
Okay. And that's actually, we actually met with our legal advisement to figure out how we needed to approach this as having kind of two types of programs. That's, you know, the perfectly acceptable model for independent study. But I was just wondering how that, the independent study model for attendance based on work completion, how that also works with the pupil and family engagement and outreach section, where you note first through third day of absence, teacher calls, etc. You know, how do those two combine? Or because I guess what I'm looking for here is not a critique, but are you perhaps asking more of yourself than you need to under the independent study model of attendance through work completion? Am I making sense here?
No, so yes, so this is,
Because that's a lot of work that your staff are doing and navigators, et cetera. So I'm wondering if that is still a requirement for you. You know, of course, we all want to engage students and we'd like to have contact with them daily, but are you required to do all of this? You are a blended learning model, but your revenue model is under the independent study model. So perhaps are all these things required?
So what I have there, and I think if you're referring to when do we start calling, is that what you're referring to, Lori?
Well, I'm just looking under the pupil and family engagement and outreach section.
Yeah.
And there's comments and what's always confusing is attendance and engagement is a different thing. So you have a description here of, you know, the first through third day of absence, the fourth through fifth day of absence, and so on.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if that is something you're going to continue now that you have shifted to the independent study model.
So this is something that we already do.
Right. I imagine that is, yes.
Right. So right. And what's interesting, Lori, is so under SB 98, which is those, you know, that new requirement, if districts are going to do distance learning, then you have to do all of these different requirements, right? The only exemption is for non-classroom based charter schools, which is OYA. So it basically says you still need to do this LCP, but you don't have to follow the requirements under SB 98.
Right, that's correct.
So what I tried to do was say, this is what we're already doing, but there are some, I think, elements in under SB 98 that I think would help OYA improve its program in terms of outreach and how we support students. So what I would say is I don't think it's adding any more work to what we're already doing. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, just wondering because you're kind of combining the requirements for classroom-based programs and, you know, under SB, whatever number it is, 90, and where there is a different determination of funding under independent study. So I just was curious if you would be continuing all of that, especially with the level of work involved. Not that you don't want to engage students or anything, but do you want it so clearly defined in case you decide to change your mind later?
Yeah, and you know, it's hard to say what exactly they're going to be looking for, you know, and how detailed am I supposed to get in the LCP? And also, even though they say that, you know, auditors are going to come in and classroom based, don't worry, you know, you will be exempt and auditors will only look at what is within your charter. I can't get a confirmation from anyone that says that's exactly what will happen.
No.
So I'm leaning more towards if an auditor comes in, can at least show that we attempted to meet some of those requirements under SB 98 without you know, not following or without drifting too far away from what our charter requirements are. and somehow kind of coming up with a hybrid, I suppose.
Well, I think the key thing to this would just be to make sure that you that staff are keeping up the student contact log. So, because that's really your only documentation of all these steps being taken.
Right. And that's a great point, Laurie. Sorry to cut you off.
No problem.
That's a great point, because prior to COVID, part of our charter requirements was to do a log, an engagement. Teachers have already been doing an engagement log.
Right.
But the question then became, okay, do we use the more detailed log that the CDE recommended? Because now you have to track synchronous, asynchronous, all of those different things. Do we kind of start using a log more detailed like that, or do we keep what we have? What exactly is the auditor going to look for? Well, then ARIES puts out, hey, they're going to put logs in ARIES that we can use. So there might be a possibility that there's a log in there that will both meet somewhat the requirements under SB 98 without having that huge log, but then also meeting our engagement log required by our charter. I don't know if that makes any. It's so
that we have struggled with the same thing. One conclusion that we have come up with is that we need to have a log that does not include any personal information like student stress today, not feeling well, all that stuff.
right.
So basically, for public sharing log or columns that could be pulled from our regular contact log. You know what I mean? Which has all sorts of columns where we're adding information, right? Like technology needs, et cetera. So, just a thought there that is, since there really isn't an attendance process right now, I think the contact logs, that's your attendance process.
Right.
So, and then while I'm talking, I have one other suggestion is in the very last section, the increased or improved services for foster youth, English learners, and low-income students. I would just suggest that where under goal 2 for preparations for successful transition to college and career, you actually have some CTE sequences already developed that your staff have access to. So I wouldn't just leave it at developed, because that implies that you don't have anything yet.
Right.
Where you actually do. So give yourself credit there. It's all, I'm looking for the, one of our assistant superintendents called it capturing goodness, the opportunities to capture good things. And you might want to mention also that your CTE pathway efforts also align with the career and college readiness indicators. That's actually one of the few things that as an alternative program, you could state that you do. So it would be nice to have that in there somewhere.
Okay. I can certainly.
Since you're doing those things.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful to see CTE mentioned, because in the future, if you ever feel like applying for the CTE incentive grants, one of the requirements is that your LCAP, or now this plan, has to have CTE mentioned in there. It's actually a requirement of applying that you send in the pages that include CTE notations.
Oh, okay.
So it's just something, if you're doing these things, it's just good to have it mentioned. So I congratulate you on already having it, and just suggest adding a couple of more things to showcase the work that you all are already doing.
Okay. Thank you, Lori. I'll definitely do that. And I think I think CTE is mentioned in here a number of times. But I will definitely include that in there. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
And so school nutrition, what we did put in there was that we help students with providing resources. We don't provide school lunches, but we certainly, I know our navigators do this very well, making sure that students have the information they need to where can they pick up school nutrition, school lunches, how do we support students and families with those needs. And then increase and improve services, just really, because again, OYA, we certainly had many of the services already in place prior to COVID. So what we did put in there was just rearranging our staff roles, responsibilities, and then increasing our mental health services. And any questions, final thoughts to this?
Personally enjoying the background singing.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I do not apologize, Bill. I'm being serious. I love hearing all the kids and the family in the background. I really do.
It's too much, man. It's too much. But thank you, Courtney. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and thank you. And we can move on to the next item. Where did everybody go? Lori, I see you. There you are. Okay, wonderful. So this is a very exciting information point. It's our ResourceLink fiscal report. And this is, I'm going to have Christina Ramos and Lupe Rivas present this fiscal report. This was actually taken in January, I believe, of last school year. But still, the information I believe is very important to share with all of you. And so I'm going to stop talking and let Christina and Lupe take it away. And I will, let me make you co-host. I know, sorry.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Morales, again for having us on here. My name is Christina Ramos. I am the navigator at the Conexión site, at the Hub site, and at the Sobrado site. Lupe Rivas is the navigator at the Snell site, at the Washington site, and at the South County site. This evening we'll be, discussing the ResourceLink mid-year report. Again, this report was out in January 2020, so it was a report on findings from fall 2019. This morning we did receive the annual report, so we can present that at another meeting, but for now it will be the mid-year report we will be reporting on.
Thank you. So in June 2018, ResourceLink emerged as a data-driven work group of Opportunity Youth Partnership to establish a way to connect re-engagement schools and partnering community-based organizations. So the purpose of the ResourceLink is to connect community-based support and services to schools that target young people returning to secondary education. ResourceLink developed a well-integrated system of support for Opportunity Youth students to ensure that even those students faced with significant barriers complete secondary education with reduced or no disruption. So the result of this work showed that 10% of students at Opportunity Youth Academy were engaged in services provided by partner organizations and the Opportunity Youth Partnership Network. ResourceLink includes 3 partnering schools, which are Opportunity Youth Academy, San Jose Conservation Corps, and charter schools, and Sayateka Job Corps. The 7 support services that ResourceLink include Bill Wilson, Planned Parenthood Marmont, Teen Success, Work to Future, Juma, Silicon Valley Children's Fund, Teen Force, and the City of San Jose Intervention teams. The success assessment is a survey format that is composed of questions that are aimed to better understand the needs and barriers of students and connect them to community-based organization services. At the time of this report, the survey lived in the critical thinking course. Students are now required to complete the online assessment prior to the new student orientation and all the responses are confidential, and only the OYA navigators have access to review the students' responses. The findings of the OYA success assessment included the 71 students that completed the assessment. 49 of those students identified support in at least one area. The top identified needs by the students are employment, transportation, and housing. And 7 of those students were then referred to CBOs.
Thank you. Oh, I'm not sure what happened here. There it goes. The student needs are then placed into our referral tracking system. The spreadsheet is used to identify students that navigators need to reach out to regarding a specific need. The spreadsheet is used to track data points that help us understand where students may be falling through the cracks. The system may also identify areas of opportunities for youth serving programs, such as maybe changing the criteria. For instance, the Teen Success, their criteria is for students up to 19 years old. But because of our students marking that they need the support up to the age of, that are older than 19 years old, Teen Success was able to do a pilot program where they were able to take in our students up to 21 years old. At the time, OYA was the only school to provide data on this tracking system with ResourceLink. Other schools not being able to track results, and OYA only reporting 5% of students to CBOs per the referral tracking system, brought to light the challenges that, that school navigators face. It's not just connecting them to the resource, it's the process of reaching out to the students, explaining the resources, connecting them to the resource, and then following up. During the time of the report, only one navigator, we only had one navigator to serve 350 plus students. Currently, OYA has 2 navigators, and the caseload is divided by sites, serving 175 plus students each. Navigators assist all students with whatever barrier they may be facing. Referrals are made by teachers, other support staff, or students advocating for their needs directly to us. Our just suggestions to close this gap to better serve our students is to hire more navigators, right, to serve students. Further clarify the survey questions for students, the success assessment questions. We did recently do a student focus group, and I'm sure that will be reported on the annual report, but the students helped us develop these questions that students will see on the success assessment. We can develop or integrate current student tracking process with the ResourceLink tracking process. We currently use Google Sheets for case notes referral systems, so may need to look at case management tracking system, which is something that we are currently looking at. In a nutshell, that is what the mid-year report includes. And again, we received the annual report this morning, and we'll be reviewing that, and hopefully more news and better news to share. Any questions?
Yes, so this is a question maybe to Phil, because this is about funding. Phil, is funding being looked at to hire more navigators? Because 1 person to 175, that capacity to serve is really, really high, because most case managers are from 1 to 20 or from 1 to 40 at the most.
Thank you, Derek. And thank you, Christina and Lupe, for being here and presenting tonight. Yes, we will, based on this information and certainly through the support of the Governance Council, we will start looking for funding to hire more navigators. I think there's a need. I've already talked to Christina and Lupe about looking to purchase some case management platform, because it's a lot to manage in a Google Doc. Google Docs are great, but I think a more formal platform that they could use, and it would be very helpful, then we could certainly pull out data and look at it and break it up the way we can. Google Docs is a little harder to do that. But in terms of a navigator, yes, I mean, I think we need to have more navigators. My dream would be a navigator per site, so that would be a total of 6 navigators. But you know, I think one at a time would be most helpful. But so that's something I definitely want to bring up to the board in the next, maybe either, probably not tomorrow's meeting, but definitely in September 24th meeting.
I just have one more question. I guess this is a question for like Lori. Hey, Lori, what type of platform are you guys using to track that maybe can be shared maybe for like case notes and other things that you guys are doing?
Yeah, it's actually something we just developed in-house. It's a big Google spreadsheet that, you know, we could pull reports from and use it for a wide range of data entry. You know, and it's a communication tool for our own staff. For example, if teachers find out today that 2 students no longer have internet access, our site admin reviews the contact log daily, and she could then put them on a waiting list for a MiFi device. So we use it for a lot of different things. One of the things that we were recently discussing was how to use that same thing if we need to provide copies to our district office as a representation of tracking student attendance. So we just decided that we wanted to continue the same document that has a lot of information, but we'll just especially pull the attendance related information when we need it for reporting purposes. So that's pretty much what we're doing. It's just something most of our sites are doing statewide now. And they also use it for our sites that are on Job Corps campuses to provide attendance reports to our Job Corps partners as well. Just with everybody doing distance learning, unless we tell them about who attended, they don't know, so it helps with that piece. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Lori, would you be able to share, an example of what you all track in that Google sheet without, of course, the student information?
Yeah, I think right now it all has student names and everything attached. So let me talk with Yolanda about it and see if we could get a form that can be shared. Just the headings and stuff.
Yeah, I wonder, Phil, if the resources that you were thinking would go towards a case management system can go elsewhere. And I know you haven't seen the annual report yet, but after looking at it, I spent all of today just digging really deep into that. And the data is continuing to reinforce that the capacity is really the #1 issue for why so few referrals are getting out. It's definitely not, lack of structure, a system, or effort on Lupe or Christina's part. Not that anybody's saying that, but just want to make that clear, because, when you see that like only 7 referrals went out, that can be kind of like stark information to read. And if we could look at how Lori's team is using Google Sheets, that would actually really, we could just because I'm thinking of the referral tracking system, just pop in and add in, that other sheet, and, they could all align and you could pull reports and stuff. Because the thing about, case management data systems is they only work if, the people using them have the capacity to really use them to their full benefit. Otherwise, the reports and data isn't going to be worth any time. And so I think putting that on hold until you get closer to your dream, which is also my dream, having a navigator at each site, I think we could work with Google Sheets, and I'd be more than happy to, support that effort and figuring out how to make it really align with the already existing referral tracking spreadsheet. Okay. And I'll send you the annual report.
Oh,
I can just read you a few of the headings for the columns. Of course, first and last name, whatever is their current phone contact number, because sometimes that changes, their current email, their current residential address, just that changes quite frequently. Then we have several comment sections where staff can comment about the students' kind of well-being, you know, are they encouraged about school engagement, et cetera, et cetera. Technology comments, and then comments, narrative comments on their progress. So that's also included in it. And not that that is entered all of those columns are entered every day, but the main ones that they attended on that day are noted. And then any comments that might come up. So basically what we would share is with auditors or whatever would be the columns specifically relating to attendance and address and that sort of thing. The other thing that we're trying real hard to do is if the student tells us this is a new address, we try to get that into our PowerSchool system as soon as possible, because we use the PowerSchool system for shipping devices to their homes. So we don't ship unless we have a confirmation of a current address, since our students are so mobile. The other thing is making sure we're checking with them all the time, since our students also access SVCTE. So we have to make sure that they have what they need to use our Chromebooks for SVCTE courses, you know, to make sure our Chromebooks will recognize the SVCTE platform, and also and Zoom, et cetera. And sometimes, depending on if they're taking college courses, will they also be able to use Canvas from the Chromebooks that we've provided? So that's all in the technology questions. But yeah, and then we provide weekly reports to Job Corps partners and to our district office. But I'll work with Yolanda to get a simplified thing that doesn't include all the names.
Thank you, Lori.
Yeah, so you could take a look. And again, this is, you know, tailored to meet your needs. This is just something that so far has been working pretty well for us. I did want to add one other thing real quickly. We are in the final processes of adding to what we call student support specialists or navigators. We've been interviewing all through August, and part of their duties will be to provide some additional support to OYA students.
Yay.
in terms of college enrollment, work-based learning opportunities with industry partners, you know, all sorts of things. So I hope to have them on board this month, by the end of the month. So, you know, Phil, once we provide some training to them, then we could get together with you guys as to how they might liaison with Christina and Guadalupe.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lori. I look forward to meeting with you on that. We've been
really
waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, it's taken a long time, but I guess a silver lining of the COVID-19 is that more people are interested in that job. So also we are interviewing for an additional curriculum specialist to support CTE curriculum activity within our San Jose region.
Oh, nice.
So that you all will benefit from the courses developed as well.
Okay. Thank you. It is 5:30 and we have just two more items I can briefly go over them with you real quickly if that's okay, and then we could adjourn the meeting. But talking about CTE, I just want to draw your attention to the readiness assessment that I've included in the agenda. This is the assessment that was created by Connected and OYA. This is the work that we've been doing with them. So please, when you have a chance, please take a look at that. That report. I can tell you that we're in the second phase of the work that we're doing with Connected, which is we're starting to do the Pathway Design Institute, which basically means looking at a particular pathway, either in medical or ICT or manufacturing, and then working with our entire staff to build out that pathway, certainly using the courses in SciTech. So we're gearing up to do a Pathway Design Institute with our teachers. And then also we're working on a graduate profile. What should a student have, or what should a student have, or what their profile look like when they graduate from OIA. So those are two big projects that we're working on right now with the assistance of ConnectEd. So it's been work that I believe has been wonderful, and I appreciate the support from all the staff that have been working on that. And then our enrollment and attendance. Again, our enrollment and attendance has been pretty stable throughout this entire time. We're at 328 students enrolled, 231 have been participating. That's based on work production, which is roughly about 71% attendance. So that's pretty good. Yeah, we're very proud of the staff, the work that they're doing with that. And finally, it looks like we have just what is it? Oh, future governance council meetings. That looks like the next one is November 12th. And then we have potentially February 11th and May 13th. So we'll be able to get those on the calendar and out to you as soon as possible. Other than that, any questions? Follow-up, final comments? No?
More just a calendar question. So there's a board meeting tomorrow?
Thank you. So there is a board meeting tomorrow. It is the public hearing for the LCP.
Okay.
That's the only thing that's on the agenda, or I'm sorry, we also have the dashboard alternative school setting certification form that needs to be approved by Dr. Dewan. But that's tomorrow, and then adoption of the LCP is September 24th. And I will send that out to you as well. And the final thing I forgot to add on here was we actually got our WAS certification. We got the official letter, and it is a 6-year with a 3-year mid review. So great work by the staff. So other than that, I guess I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Bill, I just want to say
Yes.
real quickly, I can't imagine what it would be like to work at a school during these times, and just want to acknowledge all of the efforts that you and your whole team have really put in to keep your students engaged, get them connected to the things that they need. And I get to work closely with Christina and Lupe and and Linda, and just how they have all pulled together and really just continue to show up for your students in a way that is makes me a tad emotional. So just wanted to acknowledge you all and thank you for your effort and all your hard work.
Thank you, Courtney. Yeah, I do. I get to work with one of the best group of educators, and I appreciate them every day. So thank you for that. With that being said, I need a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
A motion? First motion?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Stay
All right.
safe.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Say